Philadelphia's joint practice today versus the Browns went exactly as expected. The big plays, lots of national media coverage, and even a fight at the end. But despite some offensive struggles, Hurts and company prevailed. Although the same can't be said for new cornerback Jakorian Bennett. Plus, Shedeur Sanders did nothing versus the Birds, and 2 new camp standouts. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Day 1 of Eagles joint practices with the Cleveland Browns was really our first true look at the Bird starters in quote-unquote live game action. Or I guess at least the closest we'll see to starters playing versus another opponent, because they won't play in the preseason until they actually take the field for the season opener versus the Cowboys. And while there were obviously plenty of bright spots, especially for the offensive line, make no mistake, Philadelphia did not have their best day on the field. Also, I thought I'd sweeten the giveaway pot by adding an additional thing to win when we hit 100,000 subs, which is happening maybe today, less than 200 away, because the guys at Clear Vision have given me now 2 tickets to join Brandon Graham at Dorney Park on August 21st. I'll put all the details down below in my description box to this charity event, but if you want to win the tickets, go ride roller coasters and meet BG. Drop a like, be subbed, and comment BG below. Now, of course, all eyes outside of Philadelphia entering joint practices today were obviously on Shedeur Sanders. And, well, he actually didn't end up logging a single snap during both 11-on-11s or 7-on-7s today, with news surfacing after practice that he suffered an oblique injury this morning, which caused him to sit out. Obviously, not something that actually affects Philadelphia, but now the chances of Sanders starting on Saturday are in serious question. Although if you're curious, Shedeur and Jalen Hurts had a very long conversation after practice, as you see here in this pic. I'm pretty curious what they talked about.
Yeah, I keep the conversation intimate. We had a very lengthy conversation. He came to me and just, wanted to talk. And I'm always there, as said earlier, of giving my perspective on what I see and how I've gone about things. And ultimately, it takes a great deal of patience and hard work and a sense of resilience. You got to want it. You got to want it. And so I'm supporting him from where I am and wishing him nothing but the best with his opportunities.
The other health question to start today's show has to be around A.J. Brown, who practiced very briefly in the Eagles' open practice at the Link on Sunday before exiting halfway through, and then has now missed the last 2 practice days, including today, with that lingering hamstring injury. A.J. Brown has now missed almost half of training camp so far, and it's not looking like he's going to be back anytime soon. Now, he is out at practice, he's watching and helping out as best he can. He seems fine, but clearly not good enough to actually put pads on and run around. I'm not worried. I'm going to keep my eye on it, but the opener is a couple of weeks away, and so hopefully A.J. Brown can get back out there sooner rather than later. The good injury news today, though, was that it was actually the first real day that linebacker Zack Baun, who's been dealing with some sort of back injury all camp long, was actually out on the field. And he showcased right away why he's the leader in that linebacker room for a very good reason. Now, of course, he mixed in with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Smile Munden and the rest of the linebackers, but it was Baun with the first teamers in pads starting today. He looked fantastic, and it was great to see the bald eagle back on the field running around at full speed.
Oh, it's fantastic. I've been trying to play the game in my mind, watching film, being as in it as possible, even though without taking reps. So back like I never left.
Moving on to practice standouts, and we got to go with the secondary to start. Adoree Jackson, Keithy Ringo, and Jakorian Bennett all got some play with the ones during 11-on-11s. Although it was once again Adoree Jackson in coverage who seemed to have the best day overall, with back-to-back pass breakups of Cedric Tillman during individual drills. My big question, though, was how would Jakorian Bennett, A, look in practice, and we have updates on that in a second, but B, is he pushing Keithy Ringo and Adoree Jackson since being traded in? As far as the latter is, it sure sounds like he is.
It definitely brings in, another addition to the competition, and we love that, so that's what we're all here, we're all first competitors.
He asks me a lot of questions. I give him answers when needed, and I feel like that's nice for a guy to come into a situation wanting to learn, wanting to be the best they can be, even after the day or after practice, just always talking. To be able to help each other out. And he does a lot of great things well, if you've seen in the scrimmage. Is exceptional, able to get his hands on, pressing, can play off. From what I've seen in the individual drills, has great ball skills.
The problem, though, today was that Bennett's play on the field was not so great, as he opened up with a very nice PBU while covering Jerry Jeudy in one-on-ones, then got crossed by Gage Lavadane, no clue who that is, for a touchdown, then got beat deep on the left side by Jerry Jeudy, and finally got called for a DPI over the middle against Keyshawn Johnson. Bennett has been out there the past couple of days since being traded, but it's been a lot with the 3s and a lot with the 2s. He hasn't truly gotten a lot of first-team reps, a couple sprinkled in here and there. Today was his first real chance, and again, not that impressive. So for everyone saying the Eagles traded for their new starting cornerback, Jakorian Bennett's going to be the guy, you're not wrong yet. He can still win the job, but my first impression today was, not so great. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Mudwater. I've always been a big coffee guy, but as I've gotten older, all the jitters, the gut issues, and really the afternoon caffeine crashes have made it not really worth drinking. And so when Mudwater reached out to sponsor a video a couple of months ago, their coffee alternative was something that interested me, and once I started trying it, I'm never going back. First off, it's just a fraction of the caffeine, about 35 milligrams, so you still get a little lift, but no crash, no anxiety, and I can actually sleep at night. And you make it like regular coffee. Just add hot water and then your favorite milk, honey, or sweetener. Personally, though, I've been tossing one scoop into my morning smoothie every day. It gives me a great chai meets coffee vibe that's become a daily pick-me-up and one of my favorites. It's also loaded with the good stuff like lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, chaga, all to help support focus, energy, and immunity. And it's completely sugar-free and made with clean, organic ingredients. And they also have matcha, which my wife has been absolutely obsessed with. So if you want to upgrade your morning ritual with Mudwater, then click the link in my description box or scan the QR code somewhere over here on your screen. Use promo code ThomasMott at checkout. Get 15% off your starter kit plus a free frother. Moving over to some other individual standouts, and how about the second day in a row for BrettToth starting at left guard in place of the injured Landon Dickerson? And boy, reportedly, he was very impressive, helping the Birds' run-heavy offense versus the Browns' ones break open some very big runs, including against Myles Garrett and the starters in 11-on-11s.
Same thing, whatever position shows up, whenever they ask me to do, I'm going to step to the plate, give it the best I got, and hopefully I can perform to the standard that was before me.
My whole idea earlier in the week of moving Steen to left guard and then starting Matt Pryor seems to not be the case for now, mainly due to Dickerson likely returning in the near future. But for those concerned about Toth, so far he has definitely held his own. It's not just me saying that. How about you listen to Lane Johnson and Kevin Patullo?
Brett, I feel like he's having his best training camp. He's he came back from knee surgery, and, I told Brett I feel like he's playing lower than he ever has. He's playing really heavy-handed, so using his hands really well. So, and he's a guy that can play, really all positions if we need him to. So, Brett's really taking a big step forward.
Yeah, he's a really smart individual, really good with the detail of the game. He understands a lot of positions, which is great to have a guy like that can line up in multiple spots and be able to step in if something happens. So I think that's the biggest thing he brings. And I think he's been in the system for a while. He understands what we want to do and the way Stout teaches it, which is really important. So the details of it feel very natural when he's next to the other guys.
Also, while Philadelphia was practicing versus Cleveland, it has now been confirmed that Landon Dickerson did have his knee surgery this morning to correct that meniscus injury. Now, there's still no official timeline on his recovery, but he did go under the knife today, and with just 22 days left till the season opener, I wonder if he's going to be ready. We'll see. But Jalen Hurts, after practice, did not sound too concerned about the current guard situation.
Well, I think for Landon, nothing's ever too serious. He's one that's always playing through something and has a great competitive spirit, has an edge to overcome some of those nicks that come up. And so always good to hear that he's in a good place. And, as far as everyone stepping in to fill that role in the meantime, got a lot of confidence in them, got a lot of confidence in Brett, got a lot of confidence in Tyler Steen and Pryor as well.
Moving on, and how about a fantastic, really first standout day for edge rusher Azeez Ojulari, who had a solid run-stopping play versus the Browns starters and then registered a sack, I believe, of Dylan Gabriel while running with the twos. I personally thought Ojulari was unimpressive in his preseason debut versus the Bengals. Didn't really do much. He did start, played a ton, and it was just like, man, flash a little bit against the backups, especially in the second quarter. However, today was very different. He looked very good, registered the sack, got some run with the ones. I think Ojulari is trending in the right direction here. Is he better than Uche right now? I would say no, but put some more of these practices in a row, and he might go ahead and take over that mantle.
Azeez is my dog, man. He actually, he pointed me in the direction of just, understanding my rushes, learning my rushes, learn what works for me, what doesn't work for me, how to be comfortable. So being able to watch his rushes and how comfortable he is and how he can throw one rush with different sets, something I wanna take from him and everybody in our room. Obo, he just got here. Like Uche, he just got here. So everybody, I just ask questions. But Azeez, yeah.
Speaking of turning the page, and how about Johnny Wilson's rebirth the past, week following his stunning preseason performance versus Cincinnati? Not only did Wilson press during that game, but it's carried on this week, and especially today versus the Browns, as he beat Cameron Mitchell, Browns starting cornerback, on a jump ball from Hurts early in practice, and then caught two more go balls, one from McKee in 7-on-7s, and another from Hurts during 11-on-11s. If you were like me and thinking Wilson was definitely in line to get cut even 2 weeks ago, I think it's time to accept that he is going to be the fourth receiver on this team, barring some crazy events in the next couple of days. The real question, though, is who's going to be the number 5.
Yeah, well, I think for Johnny, it's not hard for him to use his body. It's more so, just finishing and continue to take advantage of those good position plays where he's in position to make a play. And so as a quarterback, I want to help him out and put him in those positions and obviously on their end finishing.
Personally, I think it's going to be Darius Cooper. Had that fantastic preseason opener versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Didn't do really anything special today, was not running with the ones that much. But Kevin Patullo was asked about Darius Cooper this morning before practice, and these guys are all raving about the Eagles. Again, I think wide receiver 5.
He's a really good route runner. That's the one thing when you put the tape on or you watch him in person, his route running ability is really dynamic. And I think his maturity of just being around the other guys, you can start to feel him in different ways in the offense. And I think what he's shown too is you can move him around. I don't know necessarily knew that when we first got him, but now he's in a spot where we can put him anywhere and we feel confident. So I think his game has grown tremendously from that standpoint.
Well, as far as rookies go, it's super mature, and I think that helps. And I think that he's gone at this every day with a very work-like kind of mentality. And whatever reps I get, whether it's a third team, whether it's a second team, if I'm sprinkled in with the first team for a rep or two, I'm going to take advantage of those reps. And, he's just got to continue to develop some of the game that, being at that school sometimes in the offense he was in, there's some adjustments that we have. And he was never in a huddle. He had never heard a play out of a huddle. So he's all of a sudden got to hear the play out of the huddle. And all of a sudden he's got to get to his spot. He's got to learn kind of his assignment, his alignment, what an adjustment that we have on the certain play. And then he's got to go do it at a high level against an NFL corner. So he's doing a great job. He's got a lot of natural athletic ability. And a great person, and I think that you're just seeing kind of the tip of the iceberg with him right now, and he'll continue to develop, and he's going to continue to have some lumps, and that's kind of what you are as a young player.
Adding on to this, Cooper's preseason debut was apparently so impressive that Devontae Smith told reporters after practice today they had to go look up Cooper's Tarleton State highlights on YouTube after that Cincy start. Pretty good thumbs up from arguably the Birds' best route runner.
I just, his hands, he has very strong hands, and it's crazy because after the game, I went and watched his college highlights because I didn't really know, much about him. And man, he's a freak of nature, man. He's fun to watch.
Now, it wasn't all fine and dandy versus the Cleveland Browns. As reporters are saying they barely won the 11-on-11 battles on both offense and defense. But I think the one real struggle was the offense, especially early on, to find their stride. With Hurts tossing an interception early in one-on-ones, not a big deal, but still happened. But then also throwing a pretty bad ball to Devin Bush in 7-on-7s, trying to fit it across the middle intended for Dallas Goedert for another INT. But after a few solid runs to Saquon Barkley and A.J. Dillon, Jalen Hurts in the offense calmed down in a major way and got absolutely dialed in, finding Devontae Smith for a touchdown in red zone drills during 11-on-11s, and then coming right back to A.J. Dillon on a 5-yard touchdown pass to the Birds' backup RB. Hurts finished the day 16 of 24 with those 2 touchdown passes and the aforementioned interception. Overall, though, a solid second half of practice for the Birds' QB1 and what was his first real live reps enjoying practices this year.
Yeah, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about where you are, and then you learn about where you have opportunity to go. And I think today was very competitive. I've always enjoyed every joint practice just from that state. And then we got a lot of guys not practicing as well. And so being able to put guys in different situations and just build and learn. And, when you go into a joint practice, I've noticed and over time, there's some times where you're game planning. There's sometimes where you're aware. And there's sometimes that you're not game planning for the practice. You kind of just go out there and try to play ball. And so Coach Schwartz, Coach Stefanski, and the Browns are always a great team to compete against. They got a great talent.
And overall, today's joint practice was relatively clean as there's a lot of personal connections between the two organizations, and so there's not a lot of hate between these two teams. However, at the very end, the special teams were going at it and ended up causing a massive brawl that had a bunch of players reportedly going at each other before finally getting separated. Sadly, the Eagles don't allow filming at practice. We have no footage of this, but multiple beat writers were mentioning that it was a pretty big brawl. The good news is it was backups, special teamers. No offensive guys were in the line of fire. Nobody got hurt. And overall, it was a very, very clean practice. They have one more tomorrow, and so things can change. Maybe go ahead and elevate the attention a little bit more. But besides that one end of practice brawl, it was a very clean day, and especially good news here, nobody got hurt. Of course, we got plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. Wednesday Link Live tonight. If we hit 100,000 subs by tonight, might do some drawings for some of the fun sign giveaway stuff. We'll see. Of course, make sure to go ahead and check out the Dorney Park with Brandon Graham. Get your entry in down below to win those tickets. If you want to go and just buy tickets yourself, I'll link that down below as well. That's going to be a great event next Thursday, August 21st. Again, all details down below, but a great event, great charity, great cause. And I appreciate the Clear Vision guys for letting me, hook me up with some tickets. Plenty more stuff happening. More coverage tomorrow for day 2 of joint practices. Thomas Mott, this has been the Thomas Mott Show.